I read an article this morning, and the article profiled a woman in Florida, an 87-year-old woman who's been living in her car. She's homeless. And it wasn't that article that has prompted this video. I've read dozens of these articles, unfortunately. Over the last couple of years. It's a problem, and it's a growing problem. In the article, it mentioned that now a little over 20% of all homeless people across the United States are 55 and up. So that's bad. But in some areas, like Florida, it's worse than that and projected to become even more dire in the next 5 or 10 years. So the and I'm going to put a link to that article. But again, it's not this article that's important in the grand scheme of things. This was just simply the trigger. I've read dozens of articles just like this in other locales or on a national basis. And, I'll link to the article, but this is not a one-off. It's just an example of this national problem. So this woman's 87 years old. It's profiled. She lives in her car. This isn't van life. She doesn't have a nice van. She's in a car. She lives in a car. She has to sleep, upright in the driver's seat. And she says she gets a lot of lower extremity swelling, which I'm sure she does. I know I would if I did that. And I'm not 87. And I'm sorry, 78. My dyslexia kicked in there. It's a 78-year-old woman, not an 87. So, and she eats once per day. She eats a meal somewhere, I don't know where, that costs $2.02. I have no idea where you get a meal for $2.02, but she does, and she eats once per day. So, she's on Social Security at her age, of course. And she did not reveal to the reporter how much her Social Security was. But, like I said, I've read other articles where people get, $2,300 a month, and they're still homeless. And why are they homeless? Well, because, they had a house, they retired, and they had a house, and it was paid for, right? And then, things started costing money. The car broke down. The insurance on the house doubled. They required more medications. Sometimes, people take medication that costs half of their house payment, or just like their house payment, And so then at some point they ran out of money and they had to sell the house. So then they were good for another, 5 or 10 years, and then they ran out of that money. And they can't even, they can't even now, in between medication and everything, the cost of medications, they can't even afford to pay rent. The average rent in the United States is, I think on a one bedroom is like $1,400, something like that. I know that's wrong, and it says it in the article, but I can't remember everything precisely, but I think it's like $1,460 or something. So, when I read stuff like this, it infuriates me and it depresses me. simultaneously. I mean, these people, I'm sure most of them were productive citizens. They worked hard their whole lives, and for whatever reason, whether it was some catastrophic occurrence or, like I said, their money just went away bit by bit. You know, it's like getting pecked to death by baby ducks, you know. For whatever reason, now they're broke. And this is how they're spending their golden years living in a car, which I guess is better than sleeping outside next to a picnic table in the park, but it's not much better. And I would love to have these people. I know some percentage of people, they can't leave the United States for whatever reason. And I'm sure the main reason is, for a lot of them, they get Medicare, so it's free medical care, and they have something big wrong with them, okay? So they can't leave because they can't pay for medical care somewhere else. You know, they can't pay out of pocket. And even if they get on a residency visa in another country, they qualify for, on their small Social Security income, they get a pensionado visa or whatever in Spain or Panama or whatever. If they have something major wrong with them, they'll have to be on private insurance for a while before they qualify for the national health care. And no private insurer is going to pick them up with a pre-existing condition like that. That's that serious. So that's out, right? So they got to stay here for Medicare. And hey, I'm no stranger to this. The only reason I'm in the United States is because I have something that is complex and won't let go of me, and I need to get treatment. And Medicare, I pay the parts B, C, and D, and so they pay for everything, which, is great, but it keeps me tethered here, handcuffed to the States. But for those other people, those people that just have, the usual things wrong with them when you're 78 years old or 80 years old or 72 years old, those people, right? So if you know those people, if you know someone like this, like the woman profiled, or if you are that person and you're watching this video, I beseech you, I implore you to check out going to another country. Do whatever online research you have to do. Think hard about it. And I know the first objection is, oh, I'm too old. I'm too old to go to another country. At my age, I'm too old. Well, you know what else you're too old for? You're too old to be sleeping in your car every night. You could be sleeping in a bed, Now, that bed is going to be in Chile or Panama or the Philippines. It's not going to be in Canada, and Christ, Canada is as expensive as the United States. It's not going to be in Canada. It's not going to be in the UK. It's not going to be in Australia. It's going to be in a developing country. But you can live okay. Not lavishly, but you can live okay in one of these countries. And I'm not going to, I'm not here grandstanding cheerleader for one country, because there's many countries that you could pick where you would be okay. Now, most of them, yes, you'll have to learn the basics of another language. But you can kind of, do a workaround with that if you go right into the expat community. There's going to be English there, and then you can take your time, learning the local language. Or you go to a place like the Philippines, where most of the people, speak some level of English. You're not going to be able to, discuss the merits, the properties of thermodynamics, or the wonderfulness of Molière, But hey, you can go buy groceries and you can, you know, hail a taxi and so forth, and you'll be fine. So there's options. You don't have to live like this. And I would love for you to do this as soon as possible, because there's no apparent end to this. I mean, the government, the United States government, is not going to help you. Not going to happen. They're cutting everything. The United States government is not going to help you. Whatever you're doing now, it's either going to stay the same or get worse. They're not going to help you, at least, until the next election anyway. And who knows? They may not help you after that. So help yourself. If you're able, if you're physically able to go to another country, and you're in reasonably good health, please consider it. Like I said, I'm imploring you, I'm beseeching you, please consider it. It breaks my heart to read about these senior citizens. They've done nothing, most of them, like I said, done nothing except work hard and bring up their families and be good citizens their whole lives. And now, now they're getting treated like a leaf blower treats a leaf, So if you're that person, or you're looking at this and you know a person like that, please take a good look at it. It's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be suitable for 99% of the people in that situation, but it's going to be suitable for some percentage. Even if it's only 20%, that's a big number of people. It's not a big percentage, but that's a big number of actual people. Think about it. Look at it. Consider it. That's it. That's all I had to say today.